you watch Lord of the Rings. It's not straight shots at Mordor. It's like all these things along the way.
It's not really about one studio or another one. It's about the bigger picture and about preparing people not just for this singular job, but kind of like life in the industry.
You're listening to the CG Spectrum podcast. CG Spectrum College of Digital Art and Animation offers specialized career training for the film and game sector. Join our hosts, Career Development Manager Maxine Schnepf and CGS mentor Justin Mohlman, as they chat with industry experts doing cutting-edge work in film and games. Now, on to the show.
We're doing a podcast. My name is Maxine Schnepf, and I have Justin Mohlman here with me. We'll be meeting with different people all throughout the visual effects, game industry, and film and TV industries to talk about careers and how people got to where they are now.
Yeah, this is going to be really fun. My background is I've been working in game development. I've been doing games for about 20 years now, and I've also been teaching for about 15 years now. But I've worked at a variety of studios along the way, like Activision, Midway Games, smaller ones, Disney is not a smaller one, but bigger ones too, like Disney, and most recently...
Small ones like Disney.
Right.
No big deal.
Most recently, I'm over at Epic, and I'm working on their game development education as well. And I do mentor at CG Spectrum, and I help with student professional collaboration called The Rookies for about 8 years now.
My background is primarily in visual effects. I used to also work in advertising, but always in post-production. I had a huge passion for visual effects and animation. And right now I work at CG Spectrum College as the career development manager, where I help coach people find work. And I think that's why we're doing this podcast. This is a way for both of us to give back to our respective industries and to help other people who are confused and overwhelmed. Justin, you were talking about how a lot of students tell you that they're just overwhelmed with the oversaturation of how much information there is out there nowadays. Like there's YouTube, there's Google, there's like tons of Reddit subreddits all about visual effects and video games and development, like all this stuff. But like, who do you listen to? It's whether it's a tutorial or an advice column, I think people are just bombarded with way too much information now to know like what's actually right, you know? What I love about Justin is he's been really helping fill in the blanks for me when it comes to the video game industry. I've never worked in the video game industry, so getting some knowledge from Justin and learning about his experiences, a lot of it is different, but then at the same time, I found that there are so many similarities about our industries too.
I find a lot of the times I've had students and even junior artists and even people who have been in the industry for a long time, we tend to get our information from like word of mouth, that we might see or read an article or then read like comments, and then they'll bring it up to me, and then they'll have this completely distorted view of what the industry's like. We've talked many times, me and Maxine, is always like hit on these main topics, which I'm hoping that we cover in these podcasts about, really clearing up any confusion and really giving you direct communication of the expectations and the realities working in not only the visual effects and gaming industry, but just the creative industry in general.
We're going to get a lot of cool people too who have done some awesome stuff, and they're at the senior level, but I'm really excited to also talk to some people who are in positions that you don't really think about, Give me the render wranglers, give me the like data operations people, like people that are behind the scenes. I think that kind of stuff is so important to talk about.
I think a lot of times we're so focused on getting that first job that you don't think about what happens next. And what happens after that? And where do you see yourself in 15, 20 years? Your
goals keep shifting. Like every couple of years, if you're not asking yourself, like, okay, what's next? Like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm not someone that likes to be stagnant, I guess, at the end of the day. So
the hope for this podcast is to really dig into our own personal and combined Rolodexes of these amazing like creatives and programmers and designers, just everyone along the way that we've been able to interact with, that they can kind of share not only their experience, but we can kind of reflect on our experience as well. I think like Maxine said, it's like we want to take what we've spent the last several years, like decades, learning and experiencing and pass it on, because so people don't start at the bottom floor. They have like a couple steps up and they can grow from there.
Why should people be tuning into this podcast and listening to us?
Because it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about the things we've learned along our own personal careers. We're going to loop in special guests that have senior, mid-level, even junior experience. And it's going to be a way to keep motivated. And podcasts, I feel like, are always fun to listen to while you're working anyway. Or do it for laughing. Sorry.
I don't know why it's so funny. Yeah, that was...
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.